Hola amigos, and welcome to our Eco Club online meeting. Ms. Nichols and I have been doing Eco Club for 3 years now, and one thing we know is as we get closer to the trip, there are a few things that we absolutely want to make sure everybody knows, but we also know that families are very busy with their winter-spring schedules, and it's difficult to get everyone together at one time. Therefore, we ask that you watch this brief presentation with both the Eco Club traveler and a parent, so we make sure that all the important stuff everyone is aware of, and there will be a little link at the end of the video for you to click and fill out to let us know that you have watched the video, so we know that everyone is on the same page. As you can see, we have a brief agenda that I want to get right to, and the first thing I want to talk about is chaperones. Now you're probably saying to yourself, what do you mean chaperones? I thought we had plenty of chaperones. Now for the most part, our plans are staying the same and we have the same chaperones, with the exception of Mrs. Powers due to some family concerns. Fortunately for us, our new 6th grade LLD teacher, Miss Oriana Halsey, is going to be joining us on short notice, which is great because she's traveled to Costa Rica many times before and even knows a little bit of the language and should be able to contribute to our experience tremendously during the trip. Our next slide is travel dates and times. So of course we'll be leaving on Thursday the 14th. Our flight is leaving at 1:30, but to ensure that everyone shows up on time and we've got all our right stuff in case someone needs to travel back to Reading to get something they forgot and come back, we'll be meeting at the airport at 10:30 a.m. Now it was decided via email that everyone was going to find transportation for themselves to the airport and back. If you do not have a way of getting to the airport, let us know, and there are plenty of parents who have volunteered their cars and their time to bring people to the airport, and I'm hoping that I'm suspecting that most people will want to meet their kids again when we return to Logan Airport on Saturday at 5:40 p.m. Now throughout the entire trip we will be using Delta Airlines, and Delta flies out of Terminal A in Logan Airport, so that's where we'll want to be meeting. When you arrive there via car, I or Miss Nichols will most likely be waiting along the curbside. You'll probably look for my goofy hat, which you will see on our check-in night on Tuesday the 12th. We will be checking through international customs in Atlanta, so you can expect us to be back at Logan around 5:40. We won't have to go through customs. We won't be getting out at 6 or so unless there's a delay. Our departing flight from Logan is flight number DL2001 from Boston to Atlanta, and our returning flights from San Jose to Atlanta are DL0414 and then DL1400, and again those numbers will be the ones to check to make sure that we're coming in on time, or if you have to go to Logan Airport at a later time. It is recommended that you do pack some small snacks for your student traveler to get us between Boston, Atlanta, and Costa Rica. There may not be enough time to really stop and get any food in between our transition times at Atlanta, and we don't want to have our kids go completely hungry. At the same time, they'll be doing a lot of sitting. They won't exactly be burning a lot of calories, so even just a few granola bars or something to that extent should be enough to hold them over until we get to San Jose. On that note, please do not pack fruit. Costa Rica customs are very picky about what people bring into their nation, particularly around produce. And we had a little instance with this on one occasion that caused us some trouble, and we don't want to make that same mistake twice. There are some must-brings that we want to highlight for you on this slide here. Our number one are required prescription medications. If your student requires a daily pill of some sort, myself or Miss Nichols or another one of the chaperones will be administering that pill. What we ask that you do is that you put the exact amount of pills your student will need over the course of the week in a pill box, the prescription pill box that it comes with their name and what it is on it, so that there's no questions at customs about what is actually in that container. And we have the amount needed for the week, so they're not questioning if we'd be selling it or something like that when we're traveling. Number 2, waterproof sunscreen. I emphasize the waterproof and water resistant because if you are not wearing something that's water resistant during the snorkeling session that we're doing towards the end of the week, the students will definitely get burned. The sun, and your students can tell you about this from their earth science class, the sun is at its highest point anywhere on the globe at Costa Rica during the week that we are there. So there's no better time to get burned. In general, during the week, we luck out if we're in the canopy forest and the kids are not exposed to as much sun, but because we're traveling to the Pacific coast this time around, we do expect to be exposed to more sun, and we must be prepared for that. Number 3, boots for hiking. We're definitely going to be doing some hiking, and there'll definitely be places, particularly along water lines, where it's going to be wet, and we will get muddy. So we insist that students bring boots and not their Nike tops or Nike sneakers. Those sorts of things are just going to get ruined in that stuff. And we encourage you to send your student with socks that at least match up to the boot's height, so that they don't experience any chafing along the ankle or calf region during their hiking. Number 4, a sturdy water bottle for all-week hydration. What our guides do is each day is they buy this massive 10-gallon water jug that hangs out in our bus. We're constantly refilling it before and after any of our treks or excursions or little community service events. But in order for us to be carrying around that water and have access to it all the time, we do need to bring our own water bottles. So that's another thing that we'll be checking that students absolutely have during our backpack check on Tuesday. Lastly, and a number of you have already been good about this, but I want to emphasize this for those who are not aware of it yet. Our service time will be spent at a school in La Fortuna, Costa Rica, that really emphasizes English learning for people of all ages, both young children and adults who are interested in learning the language. For that, it's been asked that we bring a selection of easy reader novels for that population. They recommended that we bring the type of short books that might be good for a third grader, but some of you have been bringing in children's books. I contacted CRA about that, and they said that that was excellent too, that there are a wide range of ages that the school deals with, and we'd actually be able to sort of organize the books that we collected and sort of bring them to the different age groups and children and pass them along in small little gifts that would be greatly appreciated to the school, not necessarily to the kids, so that they would be able to build their library for many years and students to come. Of course, it is also encouraged, if you can find it in your heart, to pack along in your student's bag any types of school supplies, high quality school supplies that the students might be able to use. Typically, the schools that we're in service large populations and sometimes very poor populations, and they are greatly appreciative of any of the supplies that we can give. However, they do live in a region that is weather prone to rainy seasons and whatnot, and they do suggest that if we are going to donate, that we please do consider the quality of the stuff and not just buy like 100 crayons at the dollar store and have them all melt away in the first rain that comes along. This next slide is generally the most controversial with the student travelers, but really one of the important rules that Ms. Nichols and I are going to insist on for this journey. With the exception of digital cameras, there are to be absolutely no electronic devices on this trip. There's an endless list of reasons for this. 1, we don't have a whole lot of places to plug in. 2, we want students to be completely tuned into their surroundings during the trip. 3, we don't want kids to lose these valuable belongings as we travel all over Costa Rica. The argument to use these on the plane ride to and from because it's so long is absolutely bunk. Believe me, before there were iPods, there were playing cards and Mad Libs and various travel games that still exist out there, and we're going to insist that students bring those types of little things with them and keep their electronic devices at home. Alright, here's the last part that makes everybody cringe, the additional costs that come with our final trip to Costa Rica. So the first thing that we need to worry about is the exit tax. The exit tax, in order to pass through Costa Rican customs, is $26. Second, there is an expectation that all of us chip in and tip the different people who make our trips so great. There are a number of people that we need to consider during our week. Our first and foremost are the 2 guides that we'll be having. Our previous guide from our first 2 years, Roberto, is going to be joining us again. He is excellent. He will be accompanied by a second guide because our group is so large, whose name is, curiously enough, Robert. We will also have a bus driver, and there will be most likely a day guide or 2. There will likely be a guide for the snorkel trip, and there will also be a few people that will be expected to leave a few dollars for during the canopy tour. So you put all these folks together, and what it ultimately comes down to is $70 per student for the entire week's worth of tipping. We've also included $4 for discretionary spending, and this falls along the lines of maybe paying for some of the time at the web cafe for when we're blogging, and I'll talk more about that later, or a calling card to leave a voice message on our blog, or just some other assorted surprises that we might have planned for the kids, or little perks to pick them up through the day. Now, what we are politely requesting that everyone do is, in order to make sure the students don't spend the tipping money during the week or lose the money during the week, and particularly the exit tax, we like that if all of the families would bring $100 in either cash or check to the Eco Club check-in night on Tuesday, Mr. Musselman, will hold on to that money during the week and be protective of it and sort of run the risk of losing it should something happen. That way we're not up a creek with the kids, and there's an adult who's sort of maintaining responsibility of that amount. The other costs you'll want to be thoughtful about are souvenirs and food at the airports. In general, we like to suggest to the kids that their souvenirs be the many photographs they'll be taking and the memories that they'll share. But there are opportunities throughout the week, mostly towards the end, in which the kids do have the chance to buy some small trinkets and whatnot that say Costa Rica on them. There's also the sad truth that our airlines no longer tend to serve a whole lot of food on the trips, and that we will likely have to be fending for ourselves in between our time in the international terminal and the domestic terminal in Atlanta on our return home. Therefore, you'll probably want to give your student something around the lines of $8 to $10 for the food that they might buy in the food courts in that airport. And for the souvenirs, we ask that you please don't send your student with any more than $50 for the stores. There's really not many high price items, and you don't necessarily want our students buying a whole lot of high price items anyway. So again, $50 for souvenirs and maybe $10 for food on the way back home should be more than enough to get us through the week. Now, in terms of communication for this trip, On the day of the departure, I will have my cell phone. I'll be giving parents my cell phone number on Tuesday night, so if you need to contact me about a sudden emergency in the family that won't allow you to travel, or you're going to be a little bit late because your car broke down, or heaven forbid there was an accident or something, you'll have that number to contact me very easily. But once we get flying and we're out of Atlanta, the communication via phone is going to be limited. CRA does have an emergency contact phone number that you can use in case you absolutely need to get in touch with us via phone during the journey. They essentially relay it from their business offices to their emergency phone number for their guides in Costa Rica, and it's really for emergencies only. We will be doing our best to report back to you back in the Estados Unidos about our adventures via the blog, which is parkerincostarica.blogspot.com. What we'll be doing is we'll be trying to stop at internet cafes. We hope at least twice, maybe 3 times during the week as we're in certain cities, or if we're fortunate enough to be staying at a hotel with some internet access, we might be able to do more. From there, we will upload at least text, and if it's the type of cafe that will allow us to upload some pictures, we'll do that too, which will be great. How you'll want to respond back is to comment on our blogs, and you can do that easily just by clicking on comment underneath the students' posts. We'll be showing you how to use the blog on our check-in day again on April 12th. That about wraps up this online Eco Club meeting. Obviously, if you have any questions, you can of course email Miss Nichols or myself. Our emails are on the screen. And what we'd like you to do now is we'd like you to click on the hotspot link that's on the YouTube video here and just fill out the form to confirm that you have watched this video, so we know which students to kind of talk to and harangue a little bit at school to make sure that they do see this before our Tuesday check-in meeting. Thanks so much for your time. We are so excited to take this trip, and have a great day, or as they say in Costa Rica, pura vida.